Up next on Inside ChampCar, catching up with the Coffee and Donut Man. Welcome to this episode of Inside ChampCar. It helps for me to take off the mute button, Bill.
It does.
I was like, just moving my lips. Nobody's going to hear me.
You were yelling at me. Stop making me go faster. I'm saying, hurry up. And you're like, stop it. So
Don't pressure me. Dang it.
I'll be quiet.
Anyway, we're here. It's Bill and Brian's Excellent Adventure. And Kelton Jago is with us today. Hello, my friend.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Very good, very good. You're one of the few people I think I knew before the ChampCar days.
Yes.
And now it all comes full circle. We could just leave
fun.
Bill in the dust here, and just you and I can chat.
This guy just comes up to me in the morning. It was like, I don't know, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning up at the tower, and says, or maybe we were downstairs, I forget. But hey, I'll get you some coffee. It's like, oh, you had me at coffee at 5 in the morning at a 24-hour race.
I love it.
And I'm friends with Brian. Brian, we go back. Now, I really don't remember much of anything except when you came up with the coffee. We took a little selfie. We had, a little chitter chatter, and I thank you profusely for the coffee. And then you left, and I said, I think I said you had to be on the show. And then I'm like, who is this guy?
Well, I knew exactly.
And Brian says, who? And I'm like,
oh, great. Thanks, Brian.
So Kelton and another guy on this other thing I do have this running thing about who's going to bring us coffee and donuts. And when neither one of them bring it to us, they're either not there or we pick on them mercilessly for not doing so. And so that's
wait a second. There were donuts.
Well, you see, you might not rank for you might not be in the donut category.
Not well yet.
Exactly.
So now I'm getting to know you, Bill, a little bit better. Maybe you'll warrant those next time.
All right.
Oh, I love it.
Because usually I'm handing out donuts to people. That's at Tom. We just did the Thompson 12-hour this weekend, and a guy came up to me and says, "Hey, where's the free donuts?" I'm like, free donuts. I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah,
Billy's. I said, well, where'd you hear about the free donuts? He goes, the website. Of course, I do the website too.
Right.
And I'm thinking, website. And he pulls up the web page. I'm like, oh man. Luckily, I had some free donut Krispy Kreme giveaway.
Yeah.
A dozen donuts, and so I handed him one. But it was one of those.
So Bill's Sopranos character name would be Billy Bag of Donuts.
Yeah.
So that's I've decided that.
And it would not last very long.
That's
probably... one of the first road trip things I do when I'm going west is I cross over the Blue Ridge Mountain up into Lexington there. And I get up there, and the first thing I do is stop at the Exxon station, go inside, and grab me a bag of them little donuts.
Yep.
And coffee.
Anyway, we didn't bring you here, Kelton, to talk donuts, believe it or not.
Yeah. Well, no way. Maybe.
We can talk donuts. I'm okay with that.
So, Kelton, you do things like race cars, right?
I do a little bit. Besides my career as a donut delivery boy, I do actually race cars besides that.
All right. So how did you get into this crazy thing we call endurance racing or even racing?
Well, I started out in the military. I was fortunate enough to be in a unit that sent us to some very good training. I got a chance to go to Bondurant, O'Neill, Dirtfish, a couple of the other really good schools. And I just caught the racing bug, and it just came along that way and wanted to be good at it. So I jumped right in head first into open wheel racing, because what could possibly go wrong, and started running FEs, then started running a little bit with a Corvette in ChampCar to start out with. Then went from a Corvette to a RX-7.
Right.
Quite a change on that.
That's a big jump. Yeah.
That was a big jump. And then of course we come full circle with the BMW and the Porsche these last couple of years.
Yeah. There's a long history of connections between the military and motorsports. Back in the day when all of this stuff started happening, the motorsports was for rich guys. and the military guys would come back from Europe, and they'd bring all their little sports cars that they bought in Europe. They'd bring them back over here with them, and they'd get in trouble with the constable because they were driving them too fast on the streets, and they had to find a place to drive them. And then they found, road racing here in the U.S. So yeah. Well, go ahead.
Getting an Air Force general.
Yep.
Like I forget who it wasn't LeMay.
No, it was LeMay. It absolutely was.
Oh, was it LeMay?
Yep.
That said, hey, we've had too many crashes at like Road America and Watkins Glen. So we're going to open up our military bases for you to race on, which was really good, except for the fact that they put the people to watch the race so far back in a safe position you couldn't really see them. But that was in a book I read.
And it wasn't Road America, but it was Watkins Glen, because before Watkins Glen was actually a racetrack, they raced on the streets of Watkins Glen, and they had a really.
I thought Road America they did too.
I don't.
But it wasn't. It was called.
Think
it wasn't
so.
called Road America.
Well, yeah, it would have been Elkhart Lake, but
Elkhart Lake. Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at that history.
Yeah, there was a big crash there that killed a whole bunch of people, and that kind of set off.
That was the Watkins Glen crash. Yeah.
The government got involved, and that's when they opened up Sebring and a couple of other tracks as well.
Yep.
The government is to blame for all of this. With my wife says how we made a small fortune in racing as we started with a large one.
Yes.
And so I actually bought a car when I was in Afghanistan, sight unseen, and we were her and I were watching Formula One at the same time. She was in the U.S. and I was in Afghanistan, and she's like, hey, have you ever thought of doing something like this? And so I got on the Google machine and started looking at cars and found a car and bought it sight unseen.
Oh, wow.
When I picked it up, I was like, I was talking to the guys, like, where are the manuals? And he's like, it's a Formula car. What do you mean with manuals? And of course I was like, well, how hard can it be? I can figure this out. So I went home to my home garage, and after it took me 2 months to get the floor off of the car, I finally sought some help and once again, the military community came to my rescue. Eric Cruz from Cruz Motorsports and Cruz Associates came out and helped me. Mike Evok from Racing for Heroes, who we represent, he came to help us, and they really got us started on the right path. And we've been doing this now almost 15 years.
Wow.
So you were in the Army and got to play with cars and stuff. I was in the Air Force. I think all we had was golf.
Yeah, well, obviously you didn't score enough high on the ASVAB to get into the Army, and I understand that. It's okay. I mean, the Army's a little harder to get into.
We had showers, we had, lakes,
air conditioning,
dormitories with one person to a room. Yeah, we had it pretty bad.
As an infantry officer, I got to go on a lot of hikes. I got to hike.
Wait. Yeah, you were an officer. I wasn't an officer.
It was
a lot of hikes.
Kelton was just in the Boy Scouts with bazookas. I mean, that's all that is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. Guns and knives. So the advanced course.
Exactly.
So, all right. Fast forward to playing with little open wheelers, I like to call them toys. What got you involved in the endurance stuff?
I had seen some of the endurance racing. I'm a huge prototype guy. I love to watch the prototypes, and I started watching that. And once again, I was like, oh, I see this other league is out there, and it looks like it has some cars that I can understand. How hard could it be to run a car for 24 hours? Is what I thought. So I mean,
anybody can do it.
You just get out there and you just drive, right? I mean, there shouldn't be anything to it. And then I went out and I was at VIR and I watched the first race in March, and I saw that, and I was very impressed with how the cars were being put together. We ran a Camaro that was out there. Then the next time that I went out there, that we welded straight pipes on it after the exhaust fell off, and as they were glowing cherry red. I think it was you, Bill, that told us that said, like, okay, we need to pull that in before we set something on fire.
Which it did. So
yes.
Yeah, the funny part was I'm down at the turn 1 on South Course taking pictures, and you always want to get those glowing breaks. At twilight, and it's awesome. And here comes this Camaro, oh my God, look at that glow. Wait a second. That's not the brakes. That's the header and the exhaust pipe. And it is as beat red as you can get. Like I have to set the stop down a few times.
Like your shirt.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And, a couple of laps and I get on the radio and said, hey, I'm pretty certain the corner worker might be telling you that, hey, this guy's glowing red. And sure enough, they're on it. And I think somebody who was ever in the car spun it going into the corner, going into one, and kind of got it off into the grass and set the grass on fire, and then took off. So yeah,
I can assure you that was not me.
Yeah, it was.
Or I claim no knowledge of that.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. But it's other than the grass on fire. But yeah, that was running a bit rich.
And so we had a lot of fun with that car, and the military experience, and what I like about Racing for Heroes, and with all the military teams that are out there, Warriors in Motion, Task Force Mortgage Racing, all of them. The military is about shared hardship. You gain a bond with other individuals through shared hardship. You know that whoever's in the Air Force, they went through a very similar experience with the person in the Army. They went through basic training. They went through AIT or advanced training. That they've done those things, and you bond closer with those individuals. And that's what happens in endurance racing. That's what I really liked about it. It's the shared hardship. If something breaks, everybody's pitching in. There's not the guy getting out of the car that's the driver that's like, oh, well, let those guys work on it. Nah, that doesn't happen. Everybody's pitching in. They're doing their jobs about it. That's what was fun and is exciting. And it's meatball mechanics there at those few minutes when you're in there and you're trying to get the car back on track, which is the really fun part of it. You can do all the preparation in the world. And this year I thought we were prepared. We had a great car. We had it set up. It looked beautiful going out on the track, and it was great. The motor had a few miles on it, and unfortunately it just let go without warning 2.5 hours into the race. And still 6 hours into the race, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with that engine after we pull the oil filter, and it's a really great brass color that's coming out. And we're like, well, not too much we can do right now unless we can source a new engine, which we couldn't do. Right. And one of the other teams, well, our sister car in the race, the Corvette, was like, hey, we're short a driver right now. One of the guys had gotten ill, and he said, would you want to jump into that? And I got a chance to jump in that car. And that's the military community, that they reach out, they help, you pitch in where you can. And when that car broke and it had a problem, all of us jumped in to work on that car, and we all shared the responsibility and shared the hardship together. It was fantastic. I really enjoy that part of the endurance racing. I think that's what's so attractive to every person in the military. When they come out and they see that, they're like, hey, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this team.
Now, I'm of the age where I wasn't, when I was in the military, we didn't have anything going on except the Cold War. Reagan's not just getting into office, and there's not a lot of money for the military. So there was a lot of times when you were just trying to sort out how to get this thing fixed, whatever you were working on it. You still had your TOs you had to follow to a T, but you might kind of tweak it and look for a better way of doing things. And that's kind of what we always look at doing in our endurance stuff. It's like, how can we do this better? How can we do it on the cheap? How can we do this quickly? And, now in wartime, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of probably the same way. I wasn't in a war. Let's call the Cold War. I mean, did you guys get to play when you were overseas, is that kind of how you had to do stuff? Because I saw TV show or news reports where guys were welding on steel and making their own stuff over there.
We did that. With the Hiluxes, when we got in country, when we found them, that there were ways to modify the vehicles that we needed to. I mean, it's a 4-cylinder turbocharged motor with 90 horsepower, a lot of torque, but not a lot, and that they weren't armored. So it's like, okay, well, what can we do to protect this vehicle a little bit better? And it was about protecting the operators and the vehicles, but it's also about keeping the vehicle going. Where can we relocate the battery? We can't put steel plates around it, because you put steel plates around a battery, it overheats, and then you're just as screwed. So you have to find different places where you can put that, and to just fix the vehicle on the fly, because it's all about mobility. So that was being done. A lot of that, when I got into country, had already been done. So we learned from that. We learned from the way that they had done it. And some of the armor companies that came over then, they saw what it was that the guys were doing. They're like, hey, that's a great idea. We can improve that. And you know, it was the innovation of the guy on the ground that it's like, hey, this is necessary. We have to do this to save our lives. And then they saw that, and they just kept improving it. And then the armor companies came over and they improved it a little bit. And then when they brought those vehicles out, then the guys on the ground were like, okay, well, this is great, but we can fix this. I remember during Iraq that we had these problems with EFPs, explosively formed projectiles. And without going into all the details on that, because I don't know what's classified and still what isn't.
Right.
People saw the threat. When they saw the threat, they're like, there's a better way to protect ourselves and to protect the vehicles. So they came up with a technique to do that didn't necessarily defeat the threat. The threat was always there. EFPs was a terrible problem, but it was a way to mitigate some of the impact if you get hit with an EFP. And that was just the innovation of the operators on the ground at the time. So it was necessary. They found a way to do it. They made it happen. Same thing happens in endurance racing. You break the car, you find a way to fix it, you get it back out there. If it breaks again for some reason, it's right back at it and you're doing it again. That's what I love about it. And I know that's what the guys love about it. I mean, Mike and Steve and Adam build a great car. Carl, they build great cars, but things happen. And you just fix it and you get back out there. That's fun.
Yeah.
You know, we've had several folks on, both from your organizations and others of the military organizations who use motorsports with the veterans out there. And one of the things, the topics that keeps coming up is that when the guys and gals come home and they're done and they go into and try to reestablish themselves in the civilian world, they often lose that sense of team and camaraderie that's so integral to military life. And when you guys get them together at the racetrack, all of that kind of comes back, right?
That's what it's all about. Absolutely. It's like you're back in the team room again, that you're back there with the guys and you're cutting up again and you're telling off-color jokes and you're having fun. And, you know, you ask them, it's like, hey, where you been? It's like, I've been at your mom's house.
Yeah.
You say silly things like that all of a sudden, and it's fun again. And that's what that people miss. That, you know, I often say this, that hey, I don't miss the circus, but I definitely miss the clowns.
Mm.
And so when you get a chance to get together with the guys again, and you get a chance to have a mission and a purpose, a task and a mission and purpose, you get out there and that's what you accomplish. And you get the car on the track and something breaks, somebody breaks the car, you give them hell about it, but it's in a loving and a friendly way.
Sure.
And you go and you fix it and you get it together. Trust me, you never let them forget it. So every chance you get, you just rub it in a little bit harder, but that's part of the fun. And we miss that. Everybody misses that teamwork. And like you said, Brian, that's what we try and bring back to the guys, to get a chance to get out there. It's not about the person that's in the car or the person that's in the pits. It's about the person you're standing shoulder to shoulder with and you're accomplishing the mission. And I hope that we can bring that to guys that come out and do this with us. They get a chance to see it. Maybe they want to repeat it themselves. Maybe they want to put their own team together. Maybe they want to do that. But Mike at Racing for Heroes, Carl at Warriors in Motion, all those other organizations are out there. They give the opportunity for veterans to do that. And I think that when you look at them and you see the smile on their face when they're doing the job, that's all worth it right there.
You know, I've been doing this for 35 years and at least. And while you talk about it that way for the military people, it's the same way. That's why I think the racing and the motorsports is so perfect for what you guys are doing, because I've seen every car I want to see for the most part. I've driven a lot of them. I don't go to the racetrack anymore because of the cars. I go because of the people, you know, and these are my family members. Some of the people who are my racing family members are better friends of mine than my own family members, you know, and it's all about, we're spending our own money on this. We're not winning any prize money. You know, we're spending thousands and thousands of dollars to go do this. and it's fun and the adrenaline, all of that. But if it weren't for a fantastic group of people in ChampCar or whatever series that we're talking about, we wouldn't keep coming back to do it.
No, and so you spend thousands of dollars for a $20 trophy,
right?
Just the pride behind that $20 trophy. And by the way, Bill, the trophies this last time were really cool. Yeah. So I always like the trophies that are there. And you look at, I don't want to talk too much about and brag on the series, but I'm going to.
Sure.
But you look from where the series came to where the series is now, and not as a light and day, but the professionalism. And I heard a lot of people in the pits talking about this at the 24, that the VIR 24 was so professionally ran. Everything was like clockwork. And I know it's, ducks on the lake, that everything looks like it's going smooth, but I know you guys are paddling like hell underneath. But everything looked so well run, like a well-oiled machine. You should be very proud of that. Mike Evok from Racing for Heroes said he wanted me to pass on to you and Brian just how well the race was ran. And he's seen a lot of racing, especially there at VIR. And he said that he thought this was the best 24 he's seen.
Well, I want to put all the blame onto Chelsea and Jackie. And, I try my best just to stir things up, but yeah, thank you. And thank you guys for that. That is nice.
And to that, Chelsea is now a race director in IMSA. And that does not happen if she doesn't put on fantastic events for ChampCar. I know the folks who run IMSA. Some of them are friends of mine. And if you don't have talent, if you don't have a track record, you're not going to – you may get into IMSA in the lower level and work your way up to race director, but that's not what Chelsea did. Chelsea went from ChampCar to race director at IMSA. And if there's not a better testament for the program that ChampCar is putting on right now than that, I don't know what is.
Yeah, and she was fantastic in working with us and the program, getting the cars, and everybody was. I mean, I think that probably I sent 300 texts to Eric Rockwell when I was working on the Porsche, and just as, hey, Eric, what do you think about this? We're the competition.
Yeah.
And every single time Eric is texting me back, hey, you need to try this. You need to do this. You need to do that. And at the end, when, they're standing on the podium and that, and we walk up and we're talking real quick, shakes my hand, we talk, and he goes, hey, the car was beautiful. And, our car, it was a little chubby. So it was a little heavier than what it was because we wanted to look nice. So I took the car this week to Jenny Craig. So we got it on a nice diet plan. We're going to start working on some things to get it thinned down a little bit. And Eric's been very helpful on that. He's told us where we need to go, what we need to do with that. Where else do you find that? I mean, You find that in a community of racers that they want to help, because if you're not on the track, you can't race them.
Right.
Yep.
And I really appreciate that. And I want to give a big shout out to the Rockwell guys. They're fantastic individuals, and they went out of their way to help us. Thank you, Eric.
So what's up next for you guys? I mean, you guys are out at a lot of different events through the different organizations. I lose track of which organization you're racing with every weekend, to be honest with you, Kelton.
This weekend, I'm supporting my beautiful wife at Summit Point.
Okay.
She's racing Spec Miata this weekend.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be there supporting her. She was going to get in the car with us during the ChampCar event. She was third in the lineup. Unfortunately, she says that her husband broke the car. So this weekend I am supporting her, and I'm going to be her crew along with RP Performance. And we just sourced another motor, and we're going to try and drop the motor in the car. And we're hoping in ChampCar that we'll be back out for Road America.
Nice.
As our next event that we want to come for that. And then we're going to see if we can try and do Sebring or something over the winter break. Be nice to get out of Virginia or Michigan in the winter and get down there and enjoy that. So that'll be our next races in that. I'm not doing the runoffs in the SCCA this year, but I am going to try and do the ARC and the Formula car. We had, unfortunately, at the last runoffs, we had a little incident, and the car needed a little bit of work on it, needed massaged a little bit.
It was not a little incident, folks. I was there. It was a significant schmozzle.
Wait, that wasn't the one sitting in the tree, was it?
No.
No.
Okay. Is that significant?
No. Several nice pieces were taken out in that incident. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but the car's back together again. We did have a chance to run it at Road America. The car's faster than the driver, so the driver's got to do some catching up. So, but we'll have the car back out. Hopefully, we'll be running a full season next year. We had a bit of tragedy in the family. My father passed away this year, and that got us a late start in the year. My dad was a racer. He raced horses. He taught me a lot of racecraft, and I know that he's watching us, and he'll be looking over us for next season.
Definitely. What I mean, you have a full-time job besides this,
yeah.
like an actual job.
Yes.
How do you find time to do all this?
Well, we probably don't want to talk to my boss too much about that.
Okay.
So he's a very understanding guy. My boss, when my father was ill, he basically let me work from the house. I work a lot overseas, and so I travel a lot overseas. And he told me to take a break, and I got to spend the last 6 weeks of my father's life with him, which was fantastic. And I couldn't have done that if I didn't have a very understanding boss and a very good employer. I work in the federal law enforcement community, and they all reached out, and they were all very helpful with everything that was going on at that time, and then gave us time to get my mom back on her feet. And so far, that my therapy, I guess the best way to put it with everything, has been working on a race car.
Yeah.
And my wife says the 3-car garage, where she now can't fit her car in there because there's a Porsche that's scattered everywhere. There's a Formula car that's scattered everywhere, and probably half of my hair that is out in the garage. But it's good. It's good motorsport therapy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I do on the, as soon as work's over, if I'm not traveling or I'm not overseas, I'm back in the garage and I'm working on the car. And with that, I have to give a lot of credit to the individuals that are out there that are, military guys in the racing community that come over and will pitch in with a wrench. And so it's like, hey man, I know you're gone. We got this while you're gone.
Yeah.
Carl Townsend from Warriors in Motion has been fantastic. Mike Evok and Darren Mix from Racing for Heroes are always there. Just talking with Mike tonight, and he's like, hey, bring the car here. Let's get the motor in it. Let's get it tested out. Let's get it ready to go, and let's get it back up north so we can get it at Road America. And those guys don't have to do that. They do that because they want to, and they want to help out. And that's the military community. It's what it's all about. Is, like I said, it's not about the guy in the cockpit at that moment. It's about the guy you're standing shoulder to shoulder with, and they never forget that.
Right.
So that guy at work who gave you all that time off, the boss, have you brought him out to the racetrack yet? Have you gotten him in a car?
No, and I want to. So his name's Craig Babcock. He's a fantastic individual. He served with me in a unit, and we go way back a long ways. He became my boss. I couldn't have a better boss. I've taken him. I run a driving program for the federal government, and I've taken him in a couple of the cars out there, and he's had a great time. So I'm going to get the boss out there, Brian. And when I get him out there, I want you and Bill there so you can give him not only a little bit of hell, but you can also let him know how much we appreciate him being such a good supporter of the sport.
Yeah. Do you drag along a lot of coworkers? Is that how you recruit your crew?
I try to.
Yeah.
So I try to get as many of them out there as I can. Last year, I've got one of my teammates, Mike Bembo. I got him into the car with us. He had the time of his life. He ran the North Course, Bill, and had a great time in the BMW when we were running EC. I got another guy, Buck Pearson, who's a Marine that was in the car with us. A great guy. And I'm trying to get some of the other guys out there. But because we're federal law enforcement, the time of year, sometimes it's very difficult. I'm at the backside of my career. I've been doing this, just a little under 30 years in the federal side, besides my military service and that time with that. And I'm getting ready to wrap it up. So I have a lot of time built up that I can use. Some of those guys, they don't have that time built up that they can use, or they want to spend it with their kids.
Sure.
I mean, can you believe that? I mean, so, and like I tell them when we go out to the races, that it's a race car with amateur racers with 75 to 100 other cars on track driving full speed. what could possibly go wrong?
Exactly.
So there's nothing that could go wrong. So just come on out and support us, and you'll have a great time. And some of them are tagging along. I do know that 3 or 4 of them are coming to Road America if we can get the car out there. So I think that'll be
none of them are Apache drivers, right?
No.
You got to watch those guys. Apache drivers. Let me tell you, I had some, I have some really good friends that some of them have moved on to fixed wing, but those Apache pilots, they are they are crazy. They are at a different spectrum of just, Derek, I'm looking at you, buddy.
We do have a couple of Blackhawk guys. Vinny was a Chinook, a Little Bird pilot, and a Blackhawk pilot. So he covered all of them, and he does a lot of work with the team. We want to get him into the car, but he's normally the guy that's figuring everything out. That's like, okay, this isn't right. This isn't right. The camber's off, the toe's off, and he's the guy behind the scenes. Him and Doc Malone that are the guys who are making this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just still have to be careful. You just
when I was,
it was like, I'm in the pit. I can't go into too much detail, but you basically have to watch yourself. You don't turn your back onto anybody, because
when I was, I spent 12 years as an EMT, and one of my partners was a former Vietnam chopper pilot, and there's a screw missing.
1 or 2. Yeah, it's been helicoiled a few times too.
Yeah, he was a crazy MFer.
Yeah.
So
we're getting into a piece of equipment that's got 100,000 moving parts probably in it all at one time to do one job. I mean, like you said, what could possibly go wrong, and what's wrong with trying to fly that, right?
Well, and I also believe that helicopters are against every law of physics. They should not fly, So
they beat the air into submission is what they do.
So we have a really good story. The last time we ran Charlotte, our friends, we won't give too much information, but our friends were headed to foreign lands, and they just happened to set their flight path to fly over the opening of the ChampCar 14-hour endurance race at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was so freaking cool. Nobody believed it would happen. Sure enough, here goes like 5 copters right over the top of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I think they had just missed the national anthem, but it was close. It was really close.
That's
very
so cool.
nice.
Great fight. Who else? Cool. What other race car series can say something like that? Amateur series.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
well, and it's hard to time those things. I had the fortunate opportunity that one of my tours, I was on a parachute team. I was on the SOCOM Paracommandos, and I know exactly how long it takes to sing the national anthems. 78 and 82 seconds. Because when you let the flag out, when they sing the last note, you're supposed to be landing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what always troubles you is those singers that want to put their own little spin on it.
Oh yeah.
And they want to extend it out a little bit, and you're trying to stall that canopy to land on time. It can be a trying experience. So if they were even close and it was unplanned, they did a great job.
Yeah, we live about we live about
kind of
6 miles from the Rose Bowl, and the approach to the Rose Bowl for the flyover is directly over our house. And of course, when it happens, everybody and their mother gets on Facebook. What's happening? What's going on? And I'm like, it's a flyover, and they're doing their practice, and it's so cool though when you know it's coming. To see those guys coming in low and slow, it's pretty cool.
It's really cool. We did the Indy 500 this year, and watching when the Thunderbirds went over and the display they put on, extremely impressive. We had a chance to jump with those guys quite a bit when I was in the military at air shows, and the Thunderbirds, the Blue Angels, they're just so good at what they do. And when you see true precision like that, low and fast, it's something to see.
Yeah. See, I'm torn. I grew up a Navy brat. The first air show I ever remember was like 1966 or something like that with the Blue Angels. Sitting up at Point Loma with my parents as they're flying right over my head. One of my earliest memories. And then I don't see the I see the Blue Angels sometime in the late or mid 70s. So it's Blue Angels. Sorry.
So were they flying the A6s then, or were they flying Phantoms?
The Phantoms
Oh, the Blue Angels were flying the A6.
Well, the Blue Angels at the time were flying the F-101s or it was an old airplane.
Oh, wow.
The first time I saw them, in the 60s. They didn't fly the F4s until I think 70, something like that, 68, 70. But I did see the first time I saw the Thunderbirds was F4s. So the A6 not until later.
We're aging ourselves when we start talking about that.
Oh,
yeah.
I know. I love airplanes.
Tell me about it.
I love airplanes so much. I guess somebody had saw one of my Ben Rich books back here. Ben was one of the designers of the SR-71. Worked on that program and also on the stealth fighter. And we were just up at, even though our scroll at the bottom is incorrect, we were at Thompson here last weekend, and this gentleman gave me a box of goodies, and it's like the SR-71, pilot's manuals and all kinds of really cool. The SR-71A, this was all public knowledge, nothing super secret in there. Though I was looking, everything's been declassified. But yeah, it was really cool. All the stuff he gave me, all the SR-71 and the Ben Rich and Kelly Johnson stuff, and I'm a huge airplane guy, so
yeah,
that's why I joined the Air Force.
Well, and I can't imagine that you're into speed or anything like that, considering that you're running an endurance racing series. So
right.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Well, I want faster cars. I really, really do. But I get yelled at for the speed disparity between these slow cars and the Opel GT and and the MR2s or Porsches or whatever. So it's
38 minutes, folks. 38 minutes into the show before we got an Opel GT or an MR2 reference. So that might be a record. Anyway. So you don't do what you do, Kelton, without a whole bunch of people. Who's on the thanking list?
I don't know where to begin. I'll start with my wife, though, because she allows me to do this, and I blame her for this because she encouraged it. So I blame her for a lot of this, but she's our biggest supporter by far. She allows us to go out and do this. So I want to thank Angie for allowing us to do this. Mike Evok, Darren Mix, Adam, Steven at Racing for Heroes. The organization there is just fantastic that they run that. If you ever get a chance to look at what they're doing for veteran wellness out there, it's more than just racing with them. They're about seeing that the veteran is taken care of and what it is that they can do to get them into the VA system or into the vitamin program or just taking care of them. So a big shout out to Racing for Heroes. Carl Townsend at Warriors in Motion has started a new program with the BMWs. He's doing a great job. He's getting veterans in race cars and getting as many guys out there as he possibly can. A big shout out to him. Jason Scott at Task Force Mortgage has been a huge supporter of both of those teams and helping them out. Eric Cruz is who I'm going to finish with. Eric Cruz at Cruz Associates, long racer, military family, supports the military, goes out of his way to do things, supports not only the SCCA, but ChampCar, but all forms of racing all the way up to IndyCar. You'll see his name on everything from IndyCar to SCCA to ChampCar. He's on our car. And Eric Cruz goes out of his way to help everybody that he can in racing and making it so that people can race. So I would like to say thank you to them. Doc Malone, Vinny Reeb, Ray Rivard, all those people go out of their way to help us. So thank you all for what it is that you do and for getting us out there. And this last one, Eric Rockwell, hey, thanks a lot, man. You really made it so we could get the car out there, and we really appreciate that. We're looking forward to racing you again and being out there with you guys. You guys were fantastic, and a big shout out to them for their win.
So Kelton won't do this, so I will. All of these organizations, many of them, get these drivers, these military men and women, into the cars, and many of them don't charge, or they cover a lot of the fees and the expenses, and it takes money to do that. So if you have a couple extra bucks, we're coming towards the end of the year now. It's time to make those donations so that you can get your taxes to go down a little bit lower. You don't have to pay as much to Uncle Sam. All of these fantastic organizations require money to do what they do. Support your veterans, support your military men and women. Write a check, go online. They all have their little portals to be able to press the buttons and do the PayPal or however they do it. Whether you can give $10, whether you can give $25, whether you can give it $2,500. It's not a cheap sport that we do. Let's get as many of these military men and women in these cars as we can, because they deserve an opportunity to have that camaraderie, that friendship, to keep these things going. And I did not have the opportunity to serve in the military. I have a vision problem, and they wouldn't let me in. They probably didn't want me anyway. But I have mad respect for the men and women who go and do and protect us every day. And that's the least that we can do, is to come out and help them. Kelton, you're going to get us the links that we can get to, so we can put them on the show notes, so we can get you guys and keep you guys in business.
So just to let folks know that, ChampCar, for years, and Mike Chiswick started this up, was basically the military teams that are registered and set up properly get to race for free.
Nice.
Yeah, and we can't donate as a nonprofit. We're not allowed to donate, but we can say, hey, there you go, bud. You get to race.
Yep.
So,
still got to buy tires. Yep. Still got to buy tires. Got to put gas in the cars. Got to put, when Kelton's driving, you got to have an extra motor ready so that when he blows up the motor, we can throw another one in the car. So even though the entry fee gets covered by ChampCar, I couldn't resist, Kelton. I apologize. No, I don't apologize. Actually, I don't apologize for a second.
Hey,
I'll see you at the runoffs. I'll be there. I'll be there as a spectator this year, so I'll see you there. You'll get coffee, no more donuts.
I don't need the donuts. Trust me, I don't need any more donuts.
As Tim says, we don't want to forget AJ and Rebecca in the follow-on mission. They've been putting together some pretty cool videos. So I'm waiting for I was really disappointed with Rebecca not showing how she tackles the guy running away from the fire. The fire tackler.
I love it.
That.
I love it.
There's a nice little video, but I was waiting for an example. Didn't see it.
Okay.
Really disappointed.
Before we go, we've got a whole bunch of people in the watching right now, and I've only see a couple of like buttons. So if you're watching either live or when you watch it on Memorex and you haven't hit the like button, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. I want to say hi in the chat to Timothy Elliott, John Whitnauer, who has confirmed that they raced on the streets of Elkhart Lake before Road America was built. So you all were right, and I should know that being a Wisconsin
didn't know
boy.
That? You're local.
I know. I should know that in the beautiful.
You weren't born yet.
That's true.
But,
it is very true. Unlike you were there, right, Bill?
No, I think they were running on the street when I was born in '62. When was the last race they had on the?
I don't.
It might have been like '57.
Yeah.
It might have been before I was born.
Anyway, thanks to all those folks for being here. John LeClaire, Kelly Wittenauer is in the chat. Again, these are many of our regular supporters. We appreciate you being here and all that kind of stuff. Anything else before we let you go, Mr. Kelton?
No, thank you all for the opportunity. We love ChampCar. We plan on doing a lot more of it. The organization has been very supportive. Thank you for that. I can speak for Mike, for Carl, from all of those guys out there in the military community. I did not mention Follow On Mission, which that I'm remiss in that. They do a fantastic job with what it is that they are doing. And thank you guys for doing that for veterans. I just wanted to say that, hey, thank you to ChampCar. Thank you to all the competitors out there. It's professional, it's fun, and everybody's willing to lend a hand, including us, whenever we can. And I won't forget that comment, Brian. I will not forget that. I will see you soon.
I don't suspect that you will.
All right, man. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right. Cool.
All right, Brian. We just had a hell of a weekend in Thompson, Connecticut. I'm still trying to recover from that. You had 24 hours of pure racing at VIR, and then it seemed like 24 hours later, there's a group of us headed out to Thompson, Connecticut. There's me and Ray and Troy Trulio, and it's a 12-hour, 15-hour. I don't know. It could have been a 60-hour drive up there. It's kind of what it seemed like. So it could have been only 8. I don't know. Kind of have to go the long way around New York City so you don't get all those tolls.
Sure.
With a little trailer on the back. Even though it's a little tiny trailer, the New York State bridges, man, come come out of the $100 with the.
Oh yeah,
just one
the Bridges and Tunnel Authority know how to get their hooks in you.
No kidding. And then the roads all have potholes in them. So what the hell do they do with that money? I don't know.
I got a couple of suggestions.
Yeah. Hey, so we start out the race at Thompson. Nice and early, 8:00.
Yeah.
And the cars head off. It's loud. Not really loud because they have sound limitations there in Thompson, Connecticut.
Right.
It's an old track. Their circle track is the oldest paved circle track in the country. It's one of the first ones done up. And you use part of that for the racetrack. It's a really cool track.
It's like New Hampshire.
It's a lot of kind of. New Hampshire. This one has more of a road racing feel to it than what New Hampshire does. But it's a historic track. Lots of history there with road racing back in the early days, and lots of big time cars racing there. And here we are, ChampCar racing there. Now, we've had Porsches win a lot this year, but we really haven't had any 944s win that much.
Yeah.
But Vogel Legacy Motorsports purchases the Visceral Racing Porsche. They've worked on that car to get it back to, not the cut up version, if you guys all remember that.
Right.
He's put that car back together, worked on it super hard, has had some difficulty. I think he discovered that this endurance racing stuff, you can buy a setup car ready to go, and it may not work the same for you. It's a lot of strategy, a lot of preparation that you have to do, and it took him a while. But guess what? BLM, Vogel Legacy Motorsports, who we had on the show recently, they won the 12 Hours of Thompson. And I want to say he is the first black race car owner in ChampCar to win a race.
That's awesome.
I was so proud of him. He had his whole family out there. His dad passed away recently, and that's where the BLM logos and all that come from. Part of it comes from, and he was so proud of that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he had a whole camera crew there, and everything is kind of cool, man. Watching him, he's playing the game and loving it.
Yeah.
So I like.
Yeah.
Those guys. Pretty good.
Cool.
And then the second place car, who was chasing them down, there was a pretty good race going on. If BLM had just one little hiccup, Miscue Motorsports would have been pouncing all over them. Those kids and the dad, they can drive the wheels off those cars, and they finished second place. So good race, and lots of there's a little bit of attrition at this race. We had about half the cars running at the end, and but 12-hour man endurance, it's tough.
Yep.
Tough on these cars, and it was warm. It wasn't really hot, but it was warm. All right, so we're headed to Mid-Ohio here in a week and a half.
Yep.
Mid-Ohio sold-out racetrack. I know I'm getting consistent emails and messages from folks saying, hey, have I moved up? I don't know. I'm not looking. That's Chelsea Vickery. She's in charge of all that stuff. But doesn't look like many. We had one cancel, and we'll fill it with the next guy that can go.
Yep.
If you are on the fence of going, you need to get in now and say, I can't go. My car's not ready. Please do that now so we can give these guys some time to get their cars together and get their stuff packed up so they can head over to the race. I don't want to have happen what happened at Thompson, where we have a pretty good field and then all of a sudden we don't.
Right.
So, or even VIR that happened. We had a lot of people, we're going, everything's ready. And then my car's not ready. Or, loading it on the trailer, the engine blew or whatever. So, we had a lot of dropout on that one. That one kind of hurt. But, we just, if you're going to drop out, let us know now, please.
Yeah. Well, especially when there's a wait list. Nothing worse than if you drop out too late and it's too late for the team who's on the wait list to really get it together. It's hard you can't do that in a week, especially with the level of commitment that it takes to do one of these races and the travel and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of inconsiderate to the rest of the teams out there if you wait to the last minute. Now, obviously, if there's a medical emergency or all that, that's different. But if you're going to not go? Let us know quick.
And we today is the cutoff for the early pay discount for Atlanta Motorsports Park, October 26th and October 27th. It's an 8+7 hour enduro. Sponsored by Flying Wrench Motorsports, the Amped Up Duels. If you haven't been to Amp, you need to really go. That is such a wicked track to race on. It's a little country club track, real famous designer, the guy that's designed everything out there. But it really uses the topography of the area and to good effect. There's some blind downhills and then back uphill with a blind right. It's just crazy. So, and it's going to get crazier. They're going to be extending the course out here over the next few years. That's in Dawsonville, Georgia. But tonight is the cutoff for the early pay. So what is the early pay? Early pay is you get $200 off your entry if you enter early. Pay up, you got to pay in full. That race is $1,850. Includes all your drivers and your car and all the good stuff. $1,850. Sign up before midnight, and it's $1,650. So save $200. That's what, the cost of a tire now?
Yeah.
Or 5 tires?
And
I don't know.
To get the early pay, you actually have to pay, right? It's not just sign up. You actually have to pay and make the commitment.
Yeah, you got to pay in full for the night. I mean, hell, you can put $250 down now, but by midnight you got to have it paid off.
Right.
And then the next early pay is October 1st. So we got a few days before that happens. That's for the VIR North race, 8+7 hours on the North course. We just left VIR. We're already talking about it. And then, of course, the end of the year Sebring race early pay on that one expires October 29th. And that's the 8+7 hour enduro on December 28th and 29th. And that's going to be fun. Of course, that one always sells out pretty darn quick because we got a lot of stuff going on in Florida. We're already up to 20 cars sign up for that one. Remember that STCA, FARA, or FARA, I never pronounce it right. It's 4 letters. How do you pronounce FARA? FARA? So, but you have those events going on in South Florida over the holidays into January, and everybody wants to race on Sebring and get seat time. So, sign up early.
Yeah.
At least get that $250 in there. Get signed up, and you have until race day to pay it off.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's a big one. I'm trying to warn people because I got jumped on last year because the race sold out so quick, and what am I to do? When the regulars can't get get their stuff together.
They should know by now, right?
They should.
You'd think.
You would think. Yeah. So we didn't know it'd sell out. You don't know anything sells out.
Yeah.
Got to enter early. All right. So we have that going on. We have we got a lot going on actually. Mike and I have been working on the rules. We got the information down from the board. Tech has kind of looked at it, and we've made some tweaks to the wording on some stuff just to make it, work in the rule book. So I will be working on that tomorrow. We need to have that done by this week because those are due September 1st.
Yeah.
So the 2025 BCCR, so you guys can start getting your cars together for next year, or at least planning, any changes that are happening. There's some good ones. I don't want to talk about them yet. I'll leave that up to Michael. But yeah, there's some good things happening. So, everybody's going to be required to. The one I like, got to have Opel GT power. For lack of.
Twice in one show.
Yeah. So that's going on. We have a board of directors election coming up. So
nice.
Got to start planning for that one. So if you have anybody, you want to be on the board of directors, get your stuff together, and you got to get people to nominate you.
That's right.
Right.
And for $1,000, you can put an ad on the Inside Champ. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
There you go. No, so people asked me about that, and I said no because I don't. The guy that can't afford it.
Yeah. I was joking, by the way. That was a joke.
All right.
So.
Now, a year ago, we would have taken that grand.
I love it.
So,
I love it.
But yeah, so what you been doing lately, Brian? Normally we would do this at the front of the show, but we'll do it back. So yeah, I did my first mountain biking with Troy's kids almost killed me.
Yeah, okay.
It was good.
Nice.
Yeah, took me on his personal mountain bike course. Who knew the little guy could build a pretty wicked mountain bike course on 40 acres of property he has. So, yeah,
cool.
That was fun. And been doing some riding still. You still doing your walking? I'm seeing you post up on Strava.
Yeah, I've had a bad couple of days with that because I'm getting ready to go on a trip and things are getting busy and all of that. But I'm still working on it. I'll be back.
I just hear excuses.
Yep.
I took an out. I didn't ride yesterday. I did 25 miles.
Yeah.
With the wife. We're going to be doing a 30. It might be a 30-mile ride. I swore it was going to be 60 miles, but a 30-mile ride over in Farmville, which I thought was only the place you go and feed your cows and your chickens. The little video game.
Yeah.
Facebook, remember that Farmville?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's actually a Farmville in Virginia. So we're going to go down there and do some riding this weekend. And then,
is it anywhere near Wingina?
No, Wingina's what's really funny is my sister-in-law's family runs the store there in Wingina. So.
I love so I used to work in Charlottesville, which is right up by you, and I was in television, and our meteorologist said to me, he goes, unless there is a level 5 tornado heading towards Wingina, I am never saying Wingina on the air because I will make a mistake and it will be the end of my career.
Well, no, it would be, I doubt it would have been his end of his career because he's Norm, right?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to name him. He's also a huge motorsports guy. So I was down at the Rolex 24 one year doing my shtick, and all of a sudden I hear in the background, Brian! I'm like, it can't be calling out. Brian! I turn around and there is Norm, and he's let's just say he's enjoying his time at the Rolex 24. Yeah. But Norm, big racing guy.
I've seen him a few times around Charlottesville.
Yep.
Guy. So
anyway,
all right, I think we're done for the night. And
before we go,
Before
we go, we always when you ask someone to give the thank yous, they do all their thank yous, and then when they're done, they go, "Ah, dang it, I forgot one." So Kelton just sent me a message. He forgot to thank Staccato 2011 for helping them get the Porsche and the BMW out on the racetrack. So I promised him I'd squeeze this in before we signed off tonight. So that's another thank you from Kelton for his teams up there. So thanks for having him on. They're doing really good work.
Now, next week, you're off doing some parking lot racing, right?
I'm gonna be doing the construction cone jig at Lincoln Air Park in Lincoln, Nebraska for the Tire Rack SCCA Solo Nationals, and we're gonna have my other podcast. We're gonna do a bunch of shows from there, and I'm gonna try to not finish last in my class, like I did last year.
You have a Shelby Mustang?
No. I wish. It's a Honda Fit.
It's kind of like a Shelby Mustang.
It is nothing like a Shelby Mustang. So, although I've learned a lot since last year, so I am somewhat confident that I'm certainly not going to be in the top half of the field, but I'm really kind of hoping to be not towards the bottom this time.
So you got some sticky tires.
Got some sticky tires. I learned something about the Honda traction control. Do you know when you turn the traction control button off on the Honda, it's not really completely off?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cut wires?
No. There's a whole button sequence that you press. Like it takes like 82 button presses, and then it's truly off. I shouldn't say this because then other people, I'm sure everyone else racing Hondas already knows this.
And then turn on FM 101.5 or
exactly.
Like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm hoping
Corvette got busted. Chevrolet got busted for doing stuff like that back in the 80s. With their Corvette retuning their fuel injection with their radios. Remember that?
Yeah. So anyway, so we're gonna go out. We're gonna go have a good time. That's all that's important. You gotta go have a good time. 1,300 cars. Well, 1,300 racers at this event. We believe it is the largest amateur motorsports event in the world. Wow. 1,300 competitors. A lot of them share cars, so it's not 1,300 cars. But you can have two drivers per car per class. And then a lot of cars also have ladies driving the car in a different class. Right. So, but yeah, 1,300 competitors sold out, at which that's the cap, 1,300, because got to squeeze everybody into 4 days. And it's a ton of fun.
Yeah, where are they doing it at?
It's at the Lincoln Airport. So
okay, so they don't do it at Heartland Park anymore.
No. But it's been at Lincoln for the last, I want to say 13, 14, maybe 15 years.
Okay.
It's been a good long time. So, but yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
We'll be doing the show with somebody else next week.
Okay. I will try, if I can, to pop in for a little bit just to say hi.
Most likely, history says that you won't be able to hear us.
Okay.
Or there'll be one massive echo, or it'll just be a black screen with people talking. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay. All right, man. You have fun, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Kick some ass out there, buddy.
All right. We'll do our best. We'll do our best. I guess that means I have to call up this little thing so I can say what I normally say here at the end. Hold on a second. We got to the end way too fast. I want to keep going. No, it's all good. Here, and then there's some music I'm supposed to play here. There it is. That's going to do it for another episode of Inside ChampCar. If you like what you hear, subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any episodes. It would also be great if you share it on your social media channels. It's the Racing Wire Podcast Network and ChampCar Live. Especially if you like a good one, leave some notes on the ChampCar Facebook page. New episodes every Tuesday. He's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Bielanski, and you are watching the Racing Wire. Listen to the Racing Wire Podcast Network and watching on ChampCar Live. Have yourself a great week, and go play with cars.